I never expected Maya to show up at my door that Friday night. We'd only been work friends for about 3 months, the kind of colleagues who grabbed coffee together and texted memes during boring meetings. But there she was, standing in my apartment hallway at 7:30 in the evening, holding a grocery bag in one hand and a stack of folded blankets in the other, her dark hair pulled back in that messy bun she always wore when she meant business. I must have looked terrible. I'd called in sick that morning, my voice barely working through the congestion, and I hadn't bothered to change out of my oversized college sweatshirt and pajama shorts. My nose was red, my eyes were watery, and I'm pretty sure I had dried drool on my cheek from falling asleep on the couch. Maya? What are you doing here? I croaked, gripping the doorframe for support because standing up too fast had made my head spin. She pushed past me gently, setting everything down on my kitchen counter with the confidence of someone who'd made a decision and wasn't going to be talked out of it. You sounded awful on the phone this morning. Nobody should be sick alone. She started unpacking the bag. I brought ingredients for my grandmother's chicken soup. The real kind, not the canned stuff. And I figured your blankets probably weren't cutting it, so I brought extras. I watched her move through my small kitchen like she belonged there, pulling out a pot I barely remembered I owned, filling it with water. She'd changed out of her work clothes into jeans and a soft green sweater that made her eyes look impossibly warm. I felt my chest tighten, and it had nothing to do with my cold. You really didn't have to do this, I said, but I was already sinking onto one of my kitchen stools, grateful beyond words that someone had shown up. That she had shown up. Maya glanced over her shoulder at me, and something in her expression made my skin feel warm, despite my fever. I know I didn't have to. I wanted to. She turned back to chopping vegetables, her movements practiced and sure. Besides, you've listened to me complain about my dating disasters for weeks now. The least I can do is make sure you don't survive on crackers and ginger ale. The mention of her dating life sent an uncomfortable pang through me. Maya had been casually seeing people she met on apps, mostly women who never seemed to appreciate how incredible she was. She'd tell me about awkward first dates and people who ghosted her, and I'd offer sympathy while secretly thinking that anyone who didn't see how special she was didn't deserve her time. I'd never examined too closely why those stories bothered me so much. I watched her cook, the kitchen filling with the smell of onions and garlic, celery and carrots. She hummed softly while she worked, occasionally asking me where I kept things. The domesticity of it all felt surreal and perfect and dangerous in a way I couldn't quite name. When was the last time someone had taken care of me like this? When had I ever wanted someone in my space this badly? Go lie down, Maya instructed after she'd gotten everything simmering. I'll bring you some when it's ready. Do you have any good movies queued up, or is your Netflix just true crime documentaries and cooking shows? I laughed, which turned into a cough. There might be some romantic comedies buried in there somewhere. Perfect. We'll find something cheesy and wonderful. She shooed me toward my bedroom. Go, rest, doctor's orders. I crawled into bed, pulling the covers up to my chin, and tried not to think about how right it felt to have Maya in my apartment. To hear her moving around in my kitchen. To know she'd chosen to spend her Friday evening taking care of me, instead of going out or swiping through dating apps looking for her next disappointing date. When she appeared in my doorway an hour later with a bowl of soup and a gentle smile, I felt something shift inside me. Something that had probably been shifting for weeks, if I was honest with myself. This smells amazing, I said, accepting the bowl carefully. The first spoonful was heaven, rich and savory and exactly what my body needed. Maya settled onto the edge of my bed, her weight making the mattress dip slightly toward her. Family recipe. My grandmother swore it could cure anything. She reached out and pressed the back of her hand to my forehead, checking my temperature, and the casual intimacy of the gesture made my breath catch. You're still pretty warm? Have you been taking anything? I nodded, very aware of how close she was, how her hand had lingered just a second longer than necessary. Every 4 hours like clockwork. Good. She stood up, and I felt the loss of her presence immediately. Eat that, and then we're watching something that requires zero brain power. I'm thinking 90s rom-com. You need? Sounds perfect. She left me to eat, and I heard her in my living room doing dishes, tidying up things I'd left scattered in my sick haze. By the time I'd finished the soup and brushed my teeth, she'd transformed my couch into a nest of blankets and pillows, the TV queued up to "You've Got Mail." "Classic choice," I said, settling into the couch cocoon she'd created. Maya dropped down next to me, closer than friends usually sit, our shoulders touching. Sometimes you need the comfort of Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan falling in love over email. We watched in comfortable silence for a while, and I felt myself relaxing in a way I hadn't in days, maybe weeks. There was something about Maya's presence that made everything feel easier, softer. I snuck glances at her during the movie, watching the light from the TV play across her features, the way she smiled at her favorite parts, how she absently twisted a strand of hair that had escaped her bun. Halfway through the movie, I started shivering despite the blankets. Maya noticed immediately, frowning with concern. "Still cold?" "The fever's making me alternate between burning up and freezing," I admitted. Without a word, she shifted closer and wrapped an arm around my shoulders, pulling me against her side. "Body heat," she said simply, as if this was a perfectly normal thing for friends to do. "Plus, you're not getting away from me that easily. I'm here for the duration." I let myself sink into her warmth, my head coming to rest against her shoulder. She was solid and real and smelled like vanilla and something earthier, maybe cedar. My heart was doing complicated things in my chest that definitely weren't fever-related. "The duration?" I asked quietly. "Well, yeah. I'm not leaving you alone when you're sick. I already told my roommate I might not be home tonight." She said it so casually, like it was obvious, like there was nowhere else she'd rather be. I closed my eyes, trying to process what I was feeling. The comfort of being held. The way my body fit against hers like we'd done this 1,000 times before. The realization that was blooming in my chest like something inevitable and terrifying and wonderful all at once. "Maya," I started, not sure what I was going to say. "Shh. Watch the movie. We can talk later if you want. Right now you just need to rest." So I did. I let myself exist in this moment, sick and vulnerable and held by someone who'd shown up without being asked, who'd known exactly what I needed before I did. I must have dozed off because I woke up to darkness, the TV screen asking if we were still watching. Maya had shifted us so we were lying down, her arms still around me, my back pressed against her front, her breath soft and even against my neck. For a moment I just lay there, afraid to move and break whatever spell had been cast over us. But then Maya stirred, her arm tightening around my waist. "You awake?" she murmured, her voice rough with sleep. "Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to fall asleep on you." "Don't apologize. That's literally why I'm here." She didn't move away, didn't put distance between us. If anything, she held me closer. "How are you feeling?" "Better, I think, less foggy." I took a breath, gathering courage. "Maya, why are you really here?" I felt her go still behind me. Several heartbeats passed in silence, and I wondered if I'd just ruined everything by asking. "You want the truth?" she finally said, her voice quiet and careful. "Always." She took a deep breath and I felt it move through both of us. "Because when you called in sick this morning, all I could think about was you here alone, feeling terrible, and it physically hurt that I couldn't just leave work and come take care of you. Because I've been looking for excuses to spend time with you outside of work for weeks. Because every dating app disaster I've told you about, I was comparing them to you and they all came up short." My heart was pounding so hard I was sure she could feel it. "Maya!" "I know this is terrible timing," she continued, the words coming faster now like she'd been holding them back too long. "You're sick and vulnerable and I'm literally in your bed, which is not how I imagined this conversation going. But you asked for truth. And the truth is I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. The way you laugh at my terrible jokes, how you listen like you actually care about what I'm saying. That thing you do where you tuck your hair behind your ear when you're concentrating. I'm here because I wanted to be here, because taking care of you felt more important than anything else I could have done tonight." I turned in her arms, needing to see her face. In the dim light from the street lamps outside, her eyes were dark and uncertain, hopeful and scared all at once. She was beautiful, and she was here, and she'd just said everything I'd been afraid to admit I wanted to hear. "I'm going to kiss you," I whispered. even though I'm sick and you'll probably catch this cold. I don't care, she breathed, and then her lips were on mine, soft and careful and perfect. The kiss was gentle, tentative, both of us testing this new territory. When we pulled apart, she was smiling. Worth it. You're definitely getting sick now. Then you'll have to return the favor and make me soup. She kissed me again, less careful this time, her hand coming up to cup my face. I can live with that arrangement. We kissed until I had to pull away to breathe, my head spinning in the best possible way. Maya smoothed my hair back from my face, her touch unbearably tender. You should sleep, she said. Actual sleep. We have time for everything else. Stay? I asked, even though she'd already said she would. I'm not going anywhere. She pulled me back against her, wrapping us both in blankets, her heartbeat steady beneath my ear. Not tonight, not tomorrow, not unless you want me to. I don't want you to. Good. I woke up Saturday morning feeling significantly better, my fever broken, my head clearer. Maya was still there, still holding me, her face peaceful in sleep. I watched her for a while, this woman who'd shown up with soup and blankets and stayed, who'd been brave enough to say what we'd both been dancing around. When her eyes finally opened, she smiled immediately, no morning confusion or regret. Just happiness to see me. Hi, she said. Hi yourself. I kissed her softly. Thank you for staying. Thank you for letting me. She stretched, then pulled me closer again. How are you feeling? Like a new person. Your grandmother's soup is magic. Told you. She glanced at the window, morning light filtering through the curtains. It's Saturday. I have nowhere I need to be. Do you? Nowhere at all. Then let's stay right here for a while longer. And we did. We stayed in bed talking, really talking, about all the moments we'd almost said something, almost crossed this line. Maya confessed she'd been half in love with me since the second week we'd known each other, when I'd defended her idea in a meeting and made sure she got credit for it. I told her about how jealous I'd been of her dates, how I'd been trying so hard not to feel what I was feeling because I didn't want to ruin our friendship. You couldn't ruin this, she said, tracing patterns on my arm. This was always going somewhere. I think we both knew it. Eventually we got up, and Maya made breakfast while I showered. I came out to find her dancing in my kitchen to music from her phone, scrambling eggs and humming. She'd found my good coffee and made a full pot. When she saw me, she grinned and pulled me into a spin, kissing me in the middle of my kitchen like it was the most natural thing in the world. We spent the day doing nothing and everything, watching movies, talking, kissing on the couch like teenagers. Maya ran out to get ingredients for dinner and came back with flowers too. Bright yellow sunflowers that she arranged in a water glass because I didn't own a vase. You bought me flowers, I said, absurdly touched. I wanted to. I've wanted to buy you flowers for weeks. She wrapped her arms around me from behind, resting her chin on my shoulder. Now I get to. That night, we cooked dinner together, moving around each other in my small kitchen with surprising ease. Maya told me stories about her grandmother, the one who'd taught her to make the soup, and I felt myself falling deeper with every word. This wasn't just attraction or infatuation. This was real and solid and terrifying in its intensity. We ended up back on the couch, the blankets still piled there from the night before. Maya pulled me against her side, and I went willingly, fitting myself into the space that already felt like mine. I should probably go home tomorrow, she said, but she didn't sound convinced. Should you? I tilted my head to look at her. She smiled, that soft, private smile that I was learning was just for me. I don't want to. I want to stay here with you, in this little bubble we've created. So stay the whole weekend. Yeah? Her eyes lit up. Yeah, I mean, you brought enough blankets for a siege. Might as well use them. She laughed and kissed my temple. Okay, I'll stay. Sunday morning, I woke up to Maya making coffee, wearing my sweatshirt because she'd run out of clean clothes. The sight of her in my kitchen, in my clothes, making herself at home, made my chest ache with how much I wanted this to be my every morning. I look ridiculous, she said when she caught me staring. This thing is huge on you and it's enormous on me. You look perfect. She brought me coffee in bed, crawling back under the covers with her own mug. We stayed there for hours, talking about everything and nothing, making plans for actual dates once I was fully recovered, discussing how we'd handle things at work. Maya wanted to be open about us, didn't want to hide, and I found I wanted the same thing. I was tired of pretending, tired of holding back. I can't believe this all started because I got sick, I said, my head on her shoulder. Everything happens for a reason, maybe. She played with my fingers, lacing them through hers. Or maybe I would have found another excuse eventually. Shown up with coffee and pastries, or offered to help you move furniture, or invented some emergency that required your immediate assistance. You would have done that? In a heartbeat. I was running out of patience with myself, honestly. The wanting was getting hard to ignore. I turned to kiss her, deep and slow, trying to pour everything I was feeling into it. When we broke apart, she was breathless, her eyes dark with want. "We should talk about what this is," she said quietly, "what we want it to be." "I want it to be real," I said immediately. "Not casual, not just seeing where it goes. I want this, you, for real." "Good." Her smile was radiant. "Because I'm all in. Have been for a while now." We spent the rest of Sunday wrapped up in each other, making promises and plans, building something that felt solid and true. When evening came and Maya finally had to leave, we stood at my door for 20 minutes saying goodbye, stealing kisses, making her promise to text when she got home. "See you tomorrow at work," she said, but she was grinning because we both knew it meant something different now. "See you tomorrow." After she left, I looked around my apartment at the evidence of our weekend, the sunflowers on the counter, the pile of blankets on the couch, the extra coffee mug in the sink, my sweatshirt that smelled like her vanilla and cedar scent. Everything felt different, transformed by her presence, by the truth we'd finally spoken. My phone buzzed. Maya had texted, "Already miss you. Thanks for the best weekend of my life." I typed back, "Come over next Friday? I'll make you dinner. It's a date, and every Friday after that, if you'll have me." I smiled, hugging my phone to my chest. She'd shown up with soup and blankets and a movie, planning to take care of me for one night. Instead, she'd stayed the whole weekend and changed everything, and I couldn't wait to see what came next.